it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing a project with you that I will be doing over the course of this year. This binder here is my project that I did in 2021. For some reason I did not do it last year. I think that I had a lot of things on my plate and that I just didn't feel that I had the time for it, but it was a project that I actually really missed doing last year. So I wanted to bring it back for 2023, and that is the Me, Myself, and I project. I know there are a lot of folks out there that do this. Heba does one, and I think she might have started the trend with this. I'm not 100% sure, but she does hers over the course of a month, I believe. Mine I actually do over the course of the entire year. What I use, I do have the 2021 here that I'm going to share with you, and then I'm going to share with you what I'm using for 2023, and then I'm actually going to start the setup of this and possibly do the January spread. But this is 2021. I'm just going to give you a really quick overview. I do use the Heidi Swapp binders. I only have 2 of the notebooks in it. I created a cover, so to speak. I did the Me, Myself, and I, but this is this year that I did this for 2021, I was a part of the Ellie Studio creative team. So what I did was mostly use their product, and it was just because I had an abundance of it. I love their products. I would highly recommend their products to anyone, really. But I had a lot of their product left over after I did my design team requirements. So this was where I brought in and tried to use up some of that product, and then shared it in the group so that I could kind of inspire everybody. But anyways, I do, I do flip ups, I do photos, but these are layouts that I do once a month. And it is always about me. I try not to focus on my husband. I try not to focus on my kids. And this year I'm going to try not to focus on my dog because if you know me, everything has been about my dog lately. This is where I spend time for me, and force myself to create about me. And I think that this me time is really what I missed about last year. It was a very chaotic year, especially for the very end of it. And I missed having this time that I had set aside a month that kind of forced me to be and create me. So I would go through every month. I did keep a lot of, I did a lot of flip outs. I did document the month. I tried to keep the same, with the same stamp set. The month always started at the top left. It was a matter of, favorites. This is what my favorites are right now. This one was, I did my birthday. Over here, favorites this month. I think January was trying my best to. So it's time to reflect. It's time to document some things. Sometimes, just to sit back and reflect. Favorite times this month. I love weekends. Note to self, trying something new. This was the greatest day of 2021 for me. So I documented a series of photos throughout the day, thinking, feeling, embracing. So it was a lot of journaling, self-reflection, documenting myself and change and how I've grown and the friends that I've made and the journey that I went on this year. And what I went through. So, books, favorites, a lot of looking back, looking ahead. So that was one page every month. And as you can see up here, I did every month. I tried to find a card or a label and keep some consistency to it. I did do some hidden journaling too. So, self-reflection, self-care, things that I wanted to remember at that time and whatnot. And then I also had a second notebook. I don't regularly do a lot of journaling in this large format. I do a lot of my memory keeping in the Traveler's Notebook size, but there are some times that I like to document in this size, and there's really no rhyme or reason to it. Sometimes I'll get an itch where, papers, I really like what the papers look, so I'll create a double page layout. This one was a year in review for 2020, so I had a picture, one from every month, minus, I think 1, 4, 8, 9, oh, actually a couple. But I tried to pull, different photos from throughout the year, and did a year in review. I do like to participate in the day in the life, so that this is where I add that in. My 5 best qualities. This was a challenge that I did for the Click, I believe. But this was back whenever I was playing around with photo paper and I wasn't familiar with the different kinds and qualities. I mean, as you can see, this one's starting to yellow a little bit, but it also didn't help that before we moved, my previous craft space was in a corner that had a very large window, so it did have a lot of sun exposure, so that didn't help. But lucky in love, there was 10 photos of my husband and I. My gosh, I'm sorry. There was 10 photos of my husband and I that I documented and, you know, just did some little tabs about. This one was hysterical. I absolutely love these little marshmallows in my campfire, but it was just documenting my kids and their love for, you know, roasted marshmallows. I like using these for the 6x8 papers, but as you can see, there's a lot of different things going on. I like the full page. You can break it down into the, you know, 3x4s. This is probably one of my favorite spreads that I've ever done. But there's still a lot of blank pages left. But I like documenting in this size, so it's a great way that I can add in 2 notebooks into my binder. But yeah, this specifically, I really missed doing last year and focusing on me in the right now and what's going on in my life and documenting how I'm feeling and thinking and what's going on to look back on. So I am going to continue on with a very, very similar format this year. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to bring back the process and the journey of this whole thing. And I am using, again, the same Heidi Swapp binders and notebooks. This is the black timeless binder. I did pull out 2 black and white notebooks. This one has plain paper, so I think I'm going to use this one for the me, myself, and I. And this one has a little bit of texture to it. So I think I'm going to use this one for the memory keeping part because I feel like I covered a lot of that paper up anyways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to do anything with the second notebook where I did the layouts and like the day in the life and such. I'm going to just leave that go and leave it stay in this notebook. What I am going to do though is hop into this other one here, and I am going to set up my cover, which is going to be pretty much the same exact way that I did the others. Yeah, I know these come out. I'm just doing it the hard way, and I don't know why. I always do everything the hard way, but I didn't want that to fall out. So I'm going to go ahead and start setting this up. I am going to be using some Felicity Jane products. I did do a small order right before they closed and grabbed some things. I'm not going to use the stencils or the alphas, I don't think. But I may pull in this or some of the Aspen die cuts. I really like this girl, and I think that she represents me in the wintertime because of how she looks with the ripped jeans and the vest over a hoodie or whatever. That is so me in the winter. So I don't know any other time that I would ever use something like this. So I think I'm going to use that somewhere, at least in the first part of all of this. But I do like this alpha that I grabbed from them, so I am going to be using this for my title. So that's what I'm going to be using just to create the insert part of my cover. I'm going to go ahead and measure this back, cut this down, do the me, myself, and I title up this way using this stamp set. And then I'm going to see how much room I have left over up here, if I'm going to use any of this stuff, or if I'm just going to go ahead and start in. I will be creating a label up here as well. And I actually had thought about on the inside cover, not on this part, but here, adding a photo of myself. Because so much has changed in my life since the last time I did this. So I feel that I need to do that and just acknowledge the change briefly and then jump into January. So I might do that too. But I'm going to go ahead at this point, put you on fast forward. That's what my plan is. And hopefully I'll be able to get this cover, the first page, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, to get January in on this, considering it is already the end of February, and I need to do February too. So that's it. Fast forward, here we go. Okay, so let's dive into the cover. So for the cover, I am using the stamp and I'm eyeballing it as to how much room I need to trim off of my front cover so that I can stamp my title on the inside page. I'm going to be using this Felicity Jane stamp set. It is new, so I did kind of rub each stamp on my hand, kind of prep it before I stamped. Before I even got into the stamping, I actually took all of the letters out that I was going to need, just to make sure that I had enough room to stamp all of this. These alphas were a little bit bigger than what I had used last year, so I just wanted to do a double check just to make sure that everything was gonna fit as I was going through all of this. I did kind of go through this part quickly. It is just stamping the title out. I did use my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. There was really no reason why. I change back and forth between this and my archival black ink. It's just no rhyme or reason. It was really what was out on my desk. And because the stamp set didn't have an ampersand, I grabbed an ampersand from another alpha that I had, and I just used it instead of trying to make things work. So in my drawers, I have a drawer unit that sits on my desk. I have color-coded with labels, embellishments. I keep color-coded. Then I have another drawer with puffy stickers, another drawer with enamel dots. I pulled out my drawer that had this neutral and green, and I went through everything and found a label that worked, that it would fit the 2023, and I'm sorry my head gets in the way every time I stamp this number because I wanted to make sure that it was lined up perfectly, and that nothing was going to be all cattywampus, and the 3 almost didn't fit, but it worked. But anyways, I had this label set from Ellie's Studio in that drawer, so I grabbed one of those labels, used one of their stamp sets and stamped out 2023. And I will put that on this front cover, and I do offset it intentionally because I am going to use this floral sticker and add that on there. And I will add that puffy circle with the black heart on it at the top after my title. I do grab a couple of the pink hearts and this plus sign from the Felicity Jane sticker pack that you see there. And that is going to complete my cover. I did not add in the title page right there with my photo yet. I don't know what photo I'm going to use yet. I have an idea. But instead of stopping and trying to overthink that, I just went ahead and did my first spread for January. What I do is I double up these pages. There are enough pages in the book to double it up. And then still have room to do 12 spreads. So I choose to do that because I do a lot of stamping, and sometimes ghosting will appear on these pages. So I just find it better to do that, and then I don't have to worry about the ghosting of the images on the other sides for my next layout. So for the January spread, I'm going to pull out what is left of my January Cocoa Daisy kit. I believe this was the Nordic Skies collection, and there are some 3x4 and 4x6 cards that I did not use in my Traveler's Notebook. So I thought this would be the great place to use them, plus the few embellishments that are up at the top of my page there. They were perfect for some of the stories that I wanted to tell. So I'm just going to go around, play around with the strips of paper that I had left. I used those on the left and the right, kind of just as an anchor, another little, like a little decoration, so to speak. I added in some photos, and I realized very quickly that I had too many photos and stories. So the one at the bottom right there of me and Sarge, I actually take that out, and maybe I'll make that another story in and of itself. Because there were other stories that I wanted to tell, and I promised myself that I would try very hard to make this about me, even though that little dog has been like my BFF and attached to me. We can leave that for another spread to tell. So this is how the layout is going to come together. Everything that is laid out here is how it is going to land eventually. I do create 2 flip pockets. The one that I am working on now will end up on the bottom right.
It takes me a minute because I kept fumbling with this strip and it was throwing me off as I was trying to make my flip pocket until I actually glued this down, and then I was okay. But I am going to do a flip pocket on the bottom right. And I have 2 stories to tell there, and I do have another flip pocket that I will do to the left of it with just 1 story. This one here, I didn't really care too much about the card, what was going on. I did like the chipboard piece that I put there. It says, I've decided my 2023 will begin on February 1st. January will be my trial month. I do use a stamp that is inappropriate, so if you don't want anybody to see, please fast forward, because they're swearing on it. I don't have many stamps that have swearing on it, but I needed to use it for the story to tell because it was an awful story and I was over it and it fit perfect. But I want to warn you that there is an inappropriate stamp that I will use on that photo coming up, so please, if you have anything or anyone sensitive to sight, I will not say what it says, but if they can read, they'll be able to read it. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on with my page. The bottom left, I use a 4x6 card with 2 photos of me. I do trim it off, and I use that piece that I trimmed off to use on another photo to tell another very small story. And then the January card, I love how their kits include these month cards. One side starts with a Sunday, and the other side starts with a Monday date. I never know what to use these for, but this might be where I use them at from this year, at least anyways. I always find they're always left over, but this is like the perfect addition to this. So that little flag that I added there said if months were days of the week, January would definitely be a Monday. The circle that I added in just says let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. And then I'm going to add in those 2 photos there. And then I'm going to flick through some of my ColorCast Designs wood veneers that I have. I have a 2023 one that I really wanted to use on this. I don't document a whole lot of New Year's resolutions, that type of thing. So I find that year items like the 2023 year is harder for me to use. So I wanted to make sure that I used it so that it got used and it didn't end up in my stash to die. I did find some other banners like errands, this happened, real life that I added in too to keep that element consistent. But on the back of the 2023, I am going to use some of the blue pattern paper. And I'm going to back it so that it pops a little bit on that white 3x4 card. Up at the top left there. So I'm going to keep going through adding things down. Just real quick, I do not share the journaling in this because I felt that this video was very long in and of itself. What I do though, I can tell you from the top left, I document my overnight oats and raspberries. This has been my new favorite food and I do stamp it out. This hit the spot eventually. But I just note and document that this has been like my go-to breakfast and even lunch lately. Finding it, an easier way to stay on track. The photo below it is of my pup. I'm just documenting how he was running errands with me for that day. He had gone to the bank, gone to the pharmacy, and he's becoming slowly my new favorite ride or die partner in the car. So I documented a little story about that. I did pull some turquoise circle die cuts from my stash, and a star and some other smaller turquoise elements to pull in a little bit more of that color. I'm trying to use through some of my stash too as I go through this. This drawer, like that you can see here, is just like a turquoise and blue drawer, and I'm trying to get through because some of this stuff is so old, and I feel bad that it sits here because, like I said, if I don't use the kit, it goes into the drawer like this to die, and I don't like doing that, so that's why I try to do my project tray series, and now I'm using this and my other elements, but I'm going through this drawer to try to pull out some things, and I do use some things. Those teal circles are one of them. There are some of that snowflake, a couple blue floral elements. I do have an arrow that I pull out that I do not use, but I do keep it on my desk just to try to use it up. These flowers will land on my page somewhere. That snowflake will stay where it is at. That arrow, like I said, that I do not use that. This, I changed it up. I had something stamped there originally and I took it off. I found this big book that color matched perfectly, so I decided to use it. And I will add that little flower there and then journal a little bit about reading. I'm a big reader, but I took a long break a couple months, just because there was so much going on in my life that I didn't have the time to. So this was just all about pulling back out my Kindle and trying to reignite that love of reading again. That other flip pocket is of my husband and I, and yes, I didn't. It's supposed to be about me, but it is because this is about how him and I, we were at an amusement park, and we haven't gone to an amusement park together since before our kids were born, and my oldest is going to be 16 this year, so it has been 16 years since him and I have gone to an amusement park together. And we went for Christmas for their holiday lights, and he rode rides with me for the first time in 16 years. So I wrote about that story and how much that meant to me. And I will do that underneath there. But this is what the overall spread looks like. Here are a bunch of close-ups with all of the journaling that I added in for you here at the end. Thanks so much for stopping by and sticking around through this one. I know it was a lengthy one. February will be coming soon. And thanks again so much for stopping by. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.